Welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're heading to the mountains to meet a pretty incredible creature, the Markhor.
Oh yeah, one of my favorites.
I mean, a wild goat with a comeback story. Gotta love that, right?
Right?
Especially for you, someone who I know really appreciates the resilience of the natural world.
Absolutely. I mean, just to give folks a sense of these animals, we're talking about a goat with horns that can spiral up to 5 feet long.
Seriously?
It's pretty mind-blowing.
I mean, I'm trying to picture the 5 feet.
Like, can you imagine those things clashing in a battle for dominance?
Wow.
It's incredible footage.
Yeah, like something straight out of a nature documentary.
Exactly.
But I'm guessing there's a lot more to the Markhor than just its impressive headgear.
You got it. I mean, the Markhor is not just a goat with cool horns. It truly embodies, I think, the spirit of its mountain home.
Okay, so set the scene for us. Where are we talking about?
So picture this, we're talking about the rugged landscapes of Central Asia, places like Pakistan, Afghanistan, Tajikistan, land of towering peaks and deep valleys.
Okay, serious mountain terrain.
Right. And these goats, they aren't just surviving in these harsh conditions. They're actually thriving.
At those altitudes.
Yeah, at altitudes that would leave most of us, gasping for air.
Literally gasping for air.
Yeah, we're talking, 600 to 3,600 meters. I mean, that's high.
Okay, so
Sure.
so how do they do that? I mean, what makes them so well adapted to this kind of extreme environment?
Well, for starters, they've got these incredible hooves that are perfectly designed for, gripping onto uneven terrain.
Like climbing shoes almost.
Yeah, exactly like this fancy climbing shoes that humans use.
But it's got to be more than just the footwear, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, their whole physiology is built for it.
Uh,
Their bodies are incredibly efficient at using oxygen, which, as you can imagine, gets pretty thin up there.
so they're literally built for those heights.
Right.
But I'm guessing life on the slopes isn't, all about taking in the views and relaxing. Well, they got to find food. They got to find mates.
Right.
So what's a typical day like for a Markhor?
Well, they're not exactly sunbathers. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
They're what we call crepuscular.
Crepuscular.
It means they're most active at dawn and dusk.
Oh, I see.
Makes sense, right?
Right, yeah.
Helps them conserve energy and avoid the harshest temperatures of the day.
So it's like strategic timing.
Totally. So
Okay.
during these active hours, they're foraging, they're looking for grasses and leaves, and the occasional tasty shrub.
Oh, we got snacks.
Right. And when they do need to rest, they'll seek out, shaded areas amongst the rocks,
Okay, makes sense.
but always keeping a wary eye out for predators, of course.
So strategic snacking and calculated lounging.
You got it.
Got it. Okay, but what about their social lives? Are they loners? Are they hanging out in herds like some other goat species?
Well, it's interesting actually. Their social structure really depends a lot on age and gender.
Oh, okay. How so?
Well, females and they're young, they form these pretty tight-knit herds,
Yeah.
which, makes sense.
Safety in numbers.
Exactly, especially for the kids.
Yeah.
Um, Adult males, on the other hand, they tend to be more solitary,
Loners.
yeah, kind of roaming their territories and they might even butt heads literally, if their territories overlap.
Ah, yes. Got to get to those famous horn clashes.
Yeah, everyone wants to talk about those.
Right. So is it all about, just showing off, or is there more to it than that?
Well, it's definitely a show of strength.
Yeah.
But it goes a lot deeper than just bragging rights.
Okay.
These battles determine dominance and, mating access.
Oh, so the stakes are high?
Yeah, really high.
So it's not just for show.
Right. And believe it or not, all that headbutting, it actually plays a role in the species' genetic health.
Oh.
Yeah, think about it. Only the strongest, most agile males with, the most impressive horns are going to win those battles and get to pass on their genes.
That makes sense.
It's natural selection in action.
It's amazing how a seemingly, destructive behavior can actually help to keep the species strong.
Yeah, nature has a funny way of doing that, balancing things out.
It really does. But speaking of those horns, I've heard they hold a special cultural significance too.
Oh, absolutely. In Pakistan, yeah, the Markhor is the national animal.
Wow.
It's a symbol of, strength, resilience,
Hmm.
grace, all these qualities that resonate deeply with the people.
Wow. It's really ingrained in their culture.
Yeah, and if you dig into the folklore of the region, you'll find stories where the Markhor takes on almost like these mythical qualities.
No, really.
Yeah, there were even beliefs about the medicinal properties of their horns.
Interesting.
which unfortunately contributed to poaching in the past.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Yeah.
It's amazing how an animal can be so woven into a culture's identity like that.
Yeah, I know, it's pretty fascinating.
But it sounds like those beliefs about the Markhor's horns had some, pretty serious consequences too.
Yeah, for sure.
It's kind of a double-edged sword, isn't it, those beliefs?
Yeah, definitely.
But speaking of threats, you mentioned poaching earlier.
Yeah.
What else has contributed to their decline?
Well, it's, sadly, the Markhor story, like so many magnificent creatures, it includes, a chapter of struggle.
Yeah.
I mean, habitat loss,
Mhm.
due to human expansion competition with livestock for grazing, poaching, all these things push them, dangerously close to the edge.
Yeah.
At one point, they were actually classified as critically endangered.
Critically endangered. Wow.
Yeah, it's a term that, it really underscores how close we came to losing them forever.
That's scary.
It is.
It's a reminder of just how fragile these ecosystems can be.
Right.
But I know there's a comeback story waiting to unfold here.
Oh, yeah.
So what turned the tide for the Markhor? What happened that helped them to start recovering?
Well, it was a combination of factors, really. And it's, it's a testament to the power of collective action.
Okay.
Community-based conservation programs. They played a vital role.
Okay, so these programs were focused on specifically.
Well, they focused on educating local communities,
Yeah.
about the importance of the Markhor, turning them into stewards of the species, rather than just, passive bystanders.
Okay, so empowering the people who share the Markhor's habitat
Exactly.
to become part of the solution.
That's it.
I can see how that would have a really big impact.
It did. It really did. And alongside that, you had, stricter anti-poaching initiatives, cracking down on illegal hunting,
Right.
and habitat restoration projects aimed at, giving the Markhor the space and the resources that they need to thrive.
So it was a multi-pronged approach.
Totally.
A lot of different things happening at the same time.
It required dedication, collaboration on a global scale, really.
So a global effort to save a species, that's pretty incredible.
It is.
But what does that success look like, in real terms? I mean, how do we measure the impact of these conservation efforts?
Well, I mean, the results speak for themselves, really.
Okay.
Thanks to these combined efforts,
Yeah.
The Markhor population has rebounded
Yeah.
to the point where the International Union for Conservation of Nature, or IUCN,
Okay.
they were able to reclassify them from endangered to near threatened.
Wow, that's incredible.
It's a monumental leap forward.
Yeah, to go from, critically endangered to near threatened. That's got to be a huge victory for conservation.
It is. It's a huge win for the Markhor themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. But it also kind of raises the question, what about other species facing similar threats? Can we replicate this kind of success?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
The Markhor's recovery, it offers, I think, a blueprint for effective conservation strategies.
Okay.
One of the, biggest takeaways is the importance of community engagement.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Conservation efforts are far more effective when local communities are not only informed, but actively involved.
They're invested.
Right? They're the ones living alongside these animals, sharing the same resources.
Makes perfect sense.
It's about, finding solutions that benefit both people and wildlife.
Finding that balance.
Yeah, exactly. Fostering a sense of shared responsibility, and understanding.
Yeah.
Another crucial element is collaboration.
Mm.
The Markhor's success, it wouldn't have been possible without, scientists and conservationists, governments and local communities all working together.
So many different people coming together.
Yeah, it really highlights the interconnectedness of it all.
It does, but despite all this incredible progress, are there still challenges that the Markhor face? I mean, are there still hurdles to overcome?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So what are some of the, the biggest threats that they're facing today?
One of the most pressing issues is habitat encroachment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. As human populations grow, their footprint expands, and it puts increasing pressure on the Markhor's territory.
Yeah, it's like their home is slowly being, carved up.
Exactly. It makes it difficult for them to move freely and find the resources they need.
Right. And I imagine climate change is adding another layer of complexity to all of this.
Oh, absolutely.
Huh?
I mean, climate change, it's a wild card, right?
Yeah.
It throws in, unpredictable weather patterns, changes in vegetation, more frequent extreme events like droughts and floods.
It really shakes things up.
Yeah, and all of these factors, they can disrupt that delicate balance of the Markhor's ecosystem.
So it's like even though they've made this amazing comeback, they're still kind of walking a tightrope.
Yeah, in a changing world.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
The Markhor story, it reminds us that conservation, it's not a one-time fix.
Right.
It's an ongoing
There's
process.
a journey.
We can't just declare victory and move on.
Mhm.
We have to remain vigilant. We have to adapt our strategies and continue supporting the efforts that have, brought them back from the brink.
Absolutely. Their journey is a powerful reminder that we can't afford to become complacent. So, as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of the Markhor, what are some of the key takeaways you hope our listener will walk away with?
Well, I think, the Markhor really embodies this idea that even when a species is pushed to the edge, hope is never lost. You
Sure.
know,
Yeah.
their story, it highlights the importance of understanding the interconnectedness, of ecosystems, human communities, and conservation efforts.
We've seen how all those things are tied together.
Exactly. And perhaps most importantly, it demonstrates the power of collective action.
Yeah.
When people come together with a shared goal, we can achieve incredible things.
It's really inspiring.
It is.
We started this deep dive talking about those magnificent spiraling horns, symbols of strength and resilience.
Mhm.
And now, having, really explored their story in depth, those horns seem to represent something even greater.
Yeah, they did.
The Markhor's journey from the brink of extinction to a symbol of hope for conservation is truly inspiring.
It
It
is.
reminds us that we all have a role to play in protecting the incredible diversity of life on our planet.
Well said. The Markhor's tale, it's a testament to the power of human intervention,
Mm.
when guided by knowledge, respect, and a commitment to preserving the natural world.
Couldn't vet it better myself.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this journey, and a special thanks to you for sharing your expertise and insights.
It was my pleasure.
And to our listener, we hope you found this deep dive into the world of the Markhor as fascinating as we did. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and never underestimate the power of a good comeback story.